Today, we are going to be talking all about unique schematics inside of Dune Awakening because there are dozens of these things scattered all throughout the map, most of which come with some sort of unique ability and or bonuses that you most definitely want to keep your eye on. And that's exactly why I wanted to spend some time today talking about which of these schematics are the most worthwhile to farm out as quickly as possible. If this video helps you out at all, then help me out by hitting that like button. But let's go ahead, cut this plug, and get right on into it. To start off, like I said, these unique schematics are scattered all throughout the map, and they're located inside of chests. Each time you loot one of these chests, you're going to receive a schematic, and most of these chests have an RNG mechanic tied to them, meaning that you can get several schematics from a single chest, however, only one at a time. Not accounting for duplicates, this could end up leading to some massive RNG being needed in order to, say, get all 5 pieces of Minol's still suit. And it's because of this whole RNG mechanic that I really think it's worthwhile deciding which of these schematics you really want to get, as well as which of them you're willing to leave behind. Especially because we also have to consider that as of right now, we currently only have information on the very first 2 regions inside of the Haga Basin, and the unique schematics inside of those regions I anticipate getting outclassed fairly quickly. So let's go ahead and start off here with the South Haga Basin, because even though it's the very starter area, there are still a couple of schematics that I think are worthwhile grabbing from here. Oh, and by the way, this interactive map that I'm going to be using here is coming from the Awakening wiki, and the map is at least in part or in whole created by Soon, and both the map and the wiki itself are actually incredible resources. I'll have a link to the map down in the description. Be sure to go and check it out for yourself. Let's go ahead and get into the South Haga Basin here, where you can see that there are 8 of these unique chests that hold unique schematics scattered about. However, I would argue that there's really only one of these that are worth picking up, and that is right here at the very first shipwreck. It is going to be the Caliph Drinker. This is a schematic that doubles your blood collection and more than doubles your blood collection in certain circumstances, which is absolutely crucial for the game plan that I have. Fortunately, this is already an area that I have slotted into my day 1 speedrun strategy, so picking up this unique schematic should be absolutely no problem. Aside from this blade, it's not like you have nothing down here. You do, in fact, have this, what I'm going to call canteen, which comes out of this container right here and kind of holds more water than your typical canteen. And you also have the disruptor weapon, which is a ranged weapon that will actually take out enemy shields. However, when it comes to the canteen, you can actually purchase that recipe from the trading post that's located right up in this area, I believe. So there's really no reason to go out of your way into this chest right here just to grab this schematic. And when it comes to the disruptor, we actually find something better up in the next area, which I'll get to in a minute. So really everything else that's down here inside of the South Haga Basin gets pretty quickly outclassed by the schematics that you can pick up from across the gap. So I'm really not sure if it'll be worth it to spend too much time down here farming out full sets of unique schematics. However, this changes almost immediately when we get across the gap. For example, right here at the East View chest, you can get your hands on the Emperor's Wings, which is a schematic that plays a huge role in the class build I'm going for. But on top of that, you can also get the Blood Bag and the second version of the canteen out of this. Although, as you can see, these all have 14% drop chances, aside from old Sparky up here at the top, which means chances are, in order for me to even get my hands on the version 2 of the Emperor's Wings, I'm gonna have to hit this chest multiple times. For me personally, this East View chest will be something that I hit up every single time that I'm in the area. However, inside of the beta, I worked my way up to this giant mountaintop right here and searched through the Mizrabar top chest, and I swear that this is where I found my Emperor's Wings version 2. So it is entirely possible that some of this information or the drop percentages change by the time we come to the launch of Dune Awakening. But the next chest that I really have my eye on is right over here, and it's called the Ganima Cavern chest. And out of this chest, you can get your hands on the full Minol's still suit. And I don't know if it's just me, but inside of the beta, I basically relied on my still suit. It was absolutely crucial in keeping me hydrated while I was out exploring the desert. However, the amount that I needed to use it did get lower and lower the further I progressed into the game. So there may come a point in time where there's like diminishing returns on carrying a still suit versus carrying armor. But inside of the live game on day one, we are planning on using up all of our water in order to craft ingots and hopefully power our way through steel and into aluminum. Check that video out if you haven't already. So having a still suit might actually be massively beneficial when it comes to keeping our ingot farm going. Since the trading post is right inside or right next to this chest, this will definitely be something, again, that we're hitting up every time we're in the area. However, if you've seen the video I made where I broke down my game plan after we get to our main base, you'll know that we're going to be set up somewhere right over here. So realistically, heading back and forth to those chests is not going to be something that I'm wanting to do constantly. However, there are still a bunch of uniques in this area that I want to talk about. To start off, I want to break down this flat rock cliff top chest right here, because you'll see inside of this is another area where we can get our hands on the Emperor's Wings, as well as the blood bag and the canteen. But on top of that, we can also get our hands on a buoyant Reaper schematic. And since water is really our main problem on day one, this Reaper schematic very well could help us keep our water filled up. I know dew harvesting for water isn't the most efficient, but if we could even turn dew harvesting into the water we drink, whereas in the water we're processing at our base is all for metal, we'd be doing ourselves a great service. So this flat rock cliff top chest is something that I'm going to be hitting up constantly, obviously in hopes of getting the Emperor's Wings, but basically everything out of this chest is a big upgrade. The next chest that I want to move on to is practically going to be directly next to my base. I may even have to move my base further north than I want to, because the chest or whatever's in this area may prevent me from putting a base there. And that's right here in the Vermilius North chest. The main thing that I'm looking to get out of this is the Scipio's or Scipio's drinker schematic, which is basically an upgraded version of Caliph's dagger, which again, we're harvesting blood, we're turning that into water. This is a constant cycle that we're going on here. So getting anything that is going to help us out in that cycle is going to be massive. When I was putting together this video, this schematic right here is probably the one that I was most excited about finding. And I say probably because we also have another banger of a schematic coming up, and that is coming from the PvP shipwreck, and it is a upgraded version of the Disruptor. This is why I say you may be able to get away with leaving the Disruptor in South Haga Basin to pick this one up. The Legion Tattoo schematic. It only has a 14% drop rate, unfortunately, but you can see here that it is a high capacity Disruptor, which is a weapon focused on attacking shields. These type of Disruptor weapons are going to be really important, especially the further we move into the game. So finding wherever they are at and picking them up as you can is probably going to be very beneficial. Unfortunately, like I said, this is a PvP ship, meaning it's free for all over here, and we are going to be running at this solo. So I'm hoping that because we're getting into this area so early, that we're going to be able to maybe cheese a couple of the chests out of here and maybe land that Disruptor weapon before we have to worry about engaging in a solo versus 5 type combat situation. Also, it's worth mentioning when it comes to shipwreck PvP inside of the beta, apparently it was few and far between. So it'll be interesting to see how the shipwreck combat ends up coming into play in the main game, if it even comes into play. Let me know what you guys think down in the comments. Again, all of this information and this interactive map is coming from the Awakening wiki. It's an absolutely incredible resource, and I imagine that it's only going to get better as the game comes out and as time goes on. I'll have links to this map down in the description where you guys can go and plan out your own route to success and dig into what sort of schematics that you might want to focus on. Speaking of success, though, we're going to be going live on YouTube and on Twitch for the early access launch of Dune Awakening, where we're going to be implementing our day one speedrunning strategy, hopefully skyrocketing ahead of the competition. If you made it this far into the video, comment "made it" down below so I can give you an extra shout out. Subscribe to the channel not to miss out on some more Dune Awakening content and much, much more. But that's all that I wanted to break down today. I hope you guys all have an amazing day. I'm out.